I'm sitting in front of our Brooklands Wellington, R for Robert. It's RAF number 2980. It's certainly an important exhibit here at Brooklands, but it's so much more than an engineering exhibit. It's also about the men who flew that aircraft during its RAF career. It's certainly a survivor. Our Robert flew a total of 14 missions in the early stages of World War II, whereas the average for a Wellington bomber at that time was 6 missions. And even when its combat days were over, our Robert was transferred to an operational training unit based at Kinloss in Scotland. And it is from there that the aircraft flew on the mission where it ditched, into Loch Ness. And Paul Glover will cover that part of this aircraft story in a later video. Of the 14 missions that I referred to a moment ago, the most significant of them has become known as the Battle of Heligoland Bight. It took place on the 18th of December 1939 and proved to be something of a baptism of fire for the RAF. Of the aircraft that flew on that mission, 12 were shot down and 57 crewmen lost their lives. It was a daylight raid. It was Stanley Baldwin who, in a speech to Parliament in 1932, coined a phrase, and it was, "The bomber will always get through." And that was accepted by the RAF as a fact. And therefore, in these early stages of World War II, daylight raids were the norm. But after the carnage on the 18th of December 1939, that was to radically change. And it was one of the very last missions that the RAF undertook in daylight. This diagram shows the position of R for Robert on the raid of the 18th of December 1939. You can see it at the lead of the starboard formation and its number N2980. Let's look now at who was on board R for Robert during that disastrous raid on that fine, clear December day. The aircraft was under the command of squadron leader Paul Harris. Harris, a solicitor by trade, began his RAF career in 1931, serving in the Middle East and in Sudan. He was transferred to a senior position in 149 Squadron and became increasingly aware of the limited experience the group had of keeping station during a raid and of gunnery practice. He worked hard on training to overcome those problems. Having returned from the mission on the 18th of December, he was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross for devotion to duty and gallantry in service. Harris survived the war, became a pig breeder and farmer, and played a key role in the salvaging of R for Robert. He was present when it was lifted from the loch on the 21st of September 1985, dying only a few months later. Interestingly, in conversation with us at an event at the International Bomber Command Centre in Lincoln, Tim Harris, Wing Commander Harris's son, revealed that his father spoke more about his experiences in the war in the final 3 months of his life than ever before. It was as if the raising of the aircraft had brought the need to explain his experiences to his family in a way that he'd not done before. Harris was accompanied at the controls by Sandy Innes, a pilot officer. He had been mentored by Harris for some time and became a regular on his crew from October 1939. He too survived the mission of December the 18th and received a DFC. He was killed on the 4th of April 1940 when the Wellington in which he was serving crashed short of the runway at RAF Mildenhall after a nighttime navigation training sortie. The third crew member was Sergeant Francis Austin. He was known as Bunny Austin. Born in August 1916, his father was an engineer, his mother a draper's apprentice. Bunny joined the RAF in 1932 as an apprentice wireless operator and mechanic. In February 1939, he first flew with Harris and continued to do so for at least 11 missions. He was eventually granted a commission to pilot officer in August 1940. During the raid of the 18th of December, Bunny Austin fired some 1,500 rounds from the ventral turret beneath R for Robert. Bunny survived the war and retired from the RAF in April 1965. He too played a key role in the recovery of R for Robert and its subsequent restoration. He passed away in February 2010. Another crew member was Aircraftsman Second Class Harold Watson. Born in February 1921, he was the youngest of 6 children, born to John Watson and his wife Isabella. Harold's father was a dairyman. Harold joined the RAF in 1938 and posted to RAF Mildenhall in September 1939. And at that time, he too became part of Harris's crew, flying with him on the 18th of December raid. He transferred onto Stirling's, again as part of Harris's crew, and he flew a further 17 missions. His final mission was in October 1941, when, upon returning to his base, the aircraft was attacked by a German night fighter and shot down in flames. He was posthumously awarded the Distinguished Flying Medal. In the rear turret was Aircraftsman First Class James Molyneux, known as Jimmy. Jimmy's father was a steel turner, and he too began life in a factory, but did not enjoy it. So, having falsified his age, he enlisted in the RAF in January 1938. By August 1939, he was the rear gunner in Harris's crew, where he remained for some time, including on the 18th of December raid. Along with the rest of Harris's crew, Molyneux was introduced to the Commander-in-Chief of Bomber Command, Ludlow Hewitt, on the day after the mission. This humble young man was so overwhelmed by the attention of so many senior officers that, having asked permission to faint, he promptly did so. Jimmy married Emma Chapman in February 1940, and it was Squadron Leader Harris who they asked to be godfather to their eldest daughter. In 1942, he was posted to 101 Squadron as a flight sergeant air gunner. While on a mission on August 28th, his aircraft was forced to crash land north of Mannheim in Germany because of a technical fault. Although Jimmy initially evaded capture, he was caught on September the 3rd and became a prisoner of war. The final member of the crew was Aircraftsman First Class John Doxey, a Welshman born in Swansea in 1921. His father was a process worker in a local factory. He became a wireless operator air gunner on 149 Squadron in October 1939. He flew on the 18th of December raid as part of Harris's crew. He remained in the RAF and continued service in the United States of America, the Caribbean, South America, and Africa. He eventually left the RAF in 1946 and worked with various aviation companies. But then, in a change of career, he joined the security detail assigned to Princess Elizabeth during her royal visit to Africa, during which her father died in February 1952. John Doxey died on May the 18th, 2018, aged 97. He was the oldest surviving member of crew from the 18th of December raid. R for Robert is much more than the Loch Ness Wellington. It had a distinguished, not to say dramatic career throughout the dark days of the early part of World War II. By exploring the crew of this aircraft on the mission of December the 18th, 1939, we have shown that many were ordinary men from ordinary backgrounds. They are typical of the more than 58,000 Bomber Command crew killed in World War II. A huge total and an astonishing sacrifice.